So here's the road down to my lower property. It's not the best road in the world, but it's not a bad road. It all pretty much looked like this. I put gravel on it when I first developed the property, but that is slowly sunk in. These just the first tracks of the heavy truck. We've been hauling firewood in and out of here with my Toyota for the last 2 or 3 weeks with no problem at all. The easement goes through Sierra Pacific Industries property. It just cuts a very small, maybe 200 feet corner into Sierra Pacific's property, and they logged this year, and although they stayed on their property, I don't know what's their responsibility to protect my easement. This is the property markers here for SPI, and the property line goes down through there, so we're now on Sierra Pacific property, but on my easement. And you can see the gravel that I'd put in here. It still had some good gravel on it. Did everything I needed it to do. And then Sierra Pacific came in and logged this summer and pretty much clear cut everything and used this section of road, which is on their property, to skid their logs out. That tore up the surface and basically buried my gravel, but this is the marks, and they've been actually softened by the rain last night of the PG&E truck. It should have never came down this hill. All the way down the hill, they tore the crap out of it. It poured rain last night. Now the ruts are turning into rivers and eroding away the soil. More of my gravel you can see. I had this road well graveled at one time. And on this camera you can't probably see how deep the ruts are, but now I don't know that PG&E has any right of way to even use this road. The only easement, and I checked that I know that they have, is 8 feet on either side of that line. And of course we all want them to keep our power on, and I've helped them find problems and helped them shuttle men and tools with my Toyota and with my quad runner on a lot of previous outages, and would have done the same on this one, but they snuck in on me. I didn't hear them coming in when you without power for 2 days. I saw where they marked the pole, said that they knew about the outage and they would get to it as soon as possible, and that took them 2 days. Well, it's impossible to keep an eye out every minute, but as soon as we get 8 feet past that power line, they have no more right to even be on the road. And you know, they're just trying to find the outage. I understand that, but we get quite a ways past the easement of theirs, and we come to my lower property, which is gated and well posted, and you know, they don't even look, they don't even claim. You know, he said that he never saw no trespassing sign. Well, here we are going to the gate, and the gate was only open because we'd been hauling firewood in and out of here. Otherwise, I keep it locked up. But you can't go through the gate without seeing the no trespassing sign in your face. They continued beyond that. See their tracks here, around the corner into my apple orchard, and then down a hill. I've had trouble with them before, trouble with Davy's Tree Service. Davy's Tree Service got stuck down this road one time and told me they had every right to use it, and they'd been using it for years and it was grandfathered in. Well, I'd put this road in just a year before that, so I knew better. But this is my private road on private property. There are no utilities on this 40 acres whatsoever. There are no easements on this 40 acres whatsoever. And it's clearly marked no trespassing. They were trespassing when they were down here tearing up this lower road, which was meant for my quad runner. And all of this so they didn't have to carry their equipment, their chainsaw and their, maybe their climbing gear. I don't know what equipment they were talking about, but this does cut back down under their power line, and they were just looking for the quickest, easiest way to get down here without regard for whose property it was or whether they were trespassing or whatever. But here again, the whole outage, we're back to the border between my property and Sierra Pacific property, and you can see the mess they made logging, and they cleared all this up. And whenever they log and they leave these trees, they take the big trees, and these little skinny trees that they leave have been protected all of their lives from the wind. And this isn't an exceptional wind. This happens every year to some extent. And whenever they leave these trees that now have no protection for the wind, they're going to blow over. And this is the tree that on the edge of the thing. I mean, they've tore the ground up, they've tore the roots up, they've cut all of the big trees that protect this from the wind. And then they leave these little skinny trees that have no protection from the wind and are on the edge, clearly within reach of these power poles. And so, how much blame does Sierra Pacific share in not only my road being destroyed, but my power being off for 2 days, me not being able to work with my mill? You can see there's a big cedar tree that fell down and hit this tree, across this tree, and 2 more trees up there that came down. 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, it just everything they left came down. And this happens every year. You know, we always get a windstorm, maybe not this bad, but why would you leave trees knowing that they're going to fall down and hit power lines? And this is a tree that fell down and arced and burned. Our light was kind of flashing all night and broke the wires in a couple places up there. But this power line, at least down to the next pole down there, is easily accessible from the other side of the canyon. It's kind of a maze to get there. I've helped the guys get in there several times, and you can drive right to the next pole down without tearing up anybody's property. I don't know about trespassing. I don't know who has easements, although 2 poles down there's a drop going to a cabin down there, so I suppose they've got some kind of an easement to maintain that. But my 40 acres has no utilities and there are no easements on it, and much of the damage that was done while PG&E was trespassing. And if this was a one-time event and these guys are just trying to get my power back on, you know, maybe okay, but Davey Tree Service does this year after year after year after year. They rolled a truck, actually that was Asplin, back before Davey Tree Service, rolled a big 3/4 ton truck down here and had to get a D8 cat to pull them out. That was a mess, but they came down on this same road the year after I built it and got stuck and called Clayton Towing to come and tow them out, and they had the cable off to one of my cedar trees, and the cable cut in and completely tore the bark off the tree. And so then I complained to Davey Tree Service. They denied it was them. They said they weren't in here and it wasn't them and they didn't do it. Well, I had a renter, Tom, the Jade guy, was renting my trailer at the time, and he came over and took pictures of him trying to tow the truck out. And once they were confronted with the evidence, they said, well, that's $50 worth of damage. And I said, yeah, you get a piece of equipment up here for $50. And fix it. And the tree that they cabled off to, I asked them, I said, what about my tree? They said, talk to Clayton Tow Service about that. That's not our responsibility. So it's just been years of these guys lying and trespassing and tearing up my property. I came to this area one time. I had just planted these apple trees. This was 8 or 10 years ago, maybe more. And so they were just little saplings in the ground. And I came down to this flat to find 3 Davey Truck Service trees. 2 2.5 ton trucks with trailers with chippers on them, and another third 2.5 ton truck, and they were parked in this entire flat area, and the guys were just having lunch. And I asked them, what are you doing? And they said, you know, and I told them they were trespassing. I said, there's no utilities. And they said that we have every right to be here. They just got the attitude they can go anywhere they want. But they had backed over 3 of my apple trees. They were small trees, they were saplings, and they didn't recognize them as apple trees. But they destroyed them, and they didn't do anything about it. I never got anything out of that. You know, just years and years and years of abuse that gets kind of old. Davey Tree Service says, well, we'll put you in a computer that contact you before we ever come out there, and the next year they're out here cutting on my trees, and I'm going, You know, I'm supposed to be in a computer. You guys are supposed to contact me. But they can't keep one employee for 2 years, and the new guy just shrugs his shoulder and says, nobody told me. And how do you fight that? And you can see the gravel was slowly sinking into the ground as gravel will, but I put a lot of money into gravel on this road, and I know better than to try to take anything but a small 4-wheel drive down here in the wintertime. We're leaving SPI property, my easement, coming back on my road, and you can see where SPI hadn't skidded logs over it, that it survived fairly well, but truck did leave some marks. Guess this is a hope it dries out soon, because I can't even get this truck up and down that hill to bring in my firewood now. But we've got a couple of weeks supply put away, so hopefully we'll get this straightened out. So this is the east side of my property, the damage that I just showing from PG&E and Sierra Pacific Industries would on the west side of my property that used to belong to Roseburg, but Roseburg sold that to Sierra Pacific. They kept the land on the east side, and last year they came and they logged it, so we've got a different logging company, but the same results. They leave these trees that are unprotected from the wind, and they blow down, and they leave them next to these power lines, where when they do blow down, they take out the power. The last storm, which was not nearly as bad as this storm, we were out without power for a couple more days when this tree blew down across the power line. The other thing that they did in here that I didn't like is they came and they poisoned all the oak trees. They just chopped into the cambium layer and sprayed them with poison and left them to die, even though there was nowhere for them to fall except on these power lines. And they left that to the tree service company to then come in and clean up their mess. And you know, I talked to the tree service guys about it, and they said, yeah, they said it's ridiculous that you kill trees next to a power line and then expect the power company to pick up the tab for cleaning it up. But something's wrong with a forest policy that takes the big trees that have been protecting the small trees from the wind for years, and then just leave those trees. And you know, I suppose you got to do it. You know, the alternative is to clear cut. But when you're within the falling distance of that tree to the power line, you think it would be in everybody's best interest to go ahead and take those trees out. You know they're going down. You know some of them are going down. Happens every year. We get some kind of a windstorm every year. And I see it every year. I mean, this place is littered with dead trees and trees that have fallen down. They come in and they plow the ground for erosion control, I guess. But, you know, they put some big rippers down and rip the ground and then leave these trees. There's a root ball there to just fall over in the wind with their roots cut. Most of this damage was actually from the last storm, which was not nearly as bad as this storm, and certainly within what we get every year. What are you going to do? What can be done?